Okay, next video for creating our template. We just did the windows, or sorry, the properties window. Definitely recommend having that open. Also up here on the properties panel are these three here I mentioned. Now, in a previous video we were doing the problems for those MD4 1 through 17. You saw that I changed colors on one of them. Now, this is a palette you are allowed to use. I personally don't recommend it. You can. If you notice as you hover over these, you have three different digits for what this basically is your different ratios: red, blue, green, RGB, or sorry, red, green, blue. Kind of a different ratio mix there. These here, however, now it says red, yellow, green, cyan, blue, magenta, white, 8 and 9, and I'll explain this. 8 and 9, these are actually 1 through 7. Now this white is the only one, not this one. This one's 0, 0, 0. Now that is black in a sense, but white is the one that you have by default. That is what's up here on what we'll talk about this in a later video about layers. But white, it will print black. For example, now you don't need to get here, we unless you're familiar with it, this will be a different video also. These layout tabs, notice all those objects that I drew were in white, which is, by the way, the default color, but yet when I go to these layout tabs, they're black. Again, that is something that AutoCAD has set up, or is unique to AutoCAD. It knows that is the one color in the default settings where it will change from white to black. Their purpose is over time they realized, I don't know how long ago, quite some time ago, that this black, or in your case might be a very dark gray drawing area, graphics window, is much easier on the eyes, much easier on the eyes, especially for people who sit at their computer 8 hours plus a day, 5 days a week or more. So instead of drawing on a surface that looks like this, a lot of bright light constantly in your eyes, again, it's a little bit strenuous whether you feel it or not. It is. But so regardless, knowing that we're going to draw on black or a dark gray, background, but yet ultimately we're going to be printing out on a white sheet in most cases, that is the one color that is set up there, or set up that way. Now I'm going to go back up here. I mentioned this palette. My recommendation: stay away from this palette. Just don't mess with it. Instead, and I don't want to limit you to only these, my recommendation is this here: more colors. This is the palette that is commonly used. Now, that's as large as it gets, depending on your monitor settings, but you can't adjust this window. Here are those same colors, 1 through 9. Now, in this case, it doesn't say red, doesn't say yellow. Get down here to 8 and 9 like what was on the previous one. In this case, it's color 1, color 2, color 3. All of the colors have a number. Now, you'll notice, and I can't move up there, but just above here, it'll show the index color. Here it says the red, blue, or red, green, blue, and it shows it over there to the right, the 255, 255, 0, so on and so forth. My recommendation, unless you want to get into some graphic design and things like that, you get into Photoshop editing, you might want to know some of those ratios. Never ever have I bothered with it. This one here, again, I said is white, will be black. I often just refer to it as color 7. And then I have a grayscale, and then I have more here. Now notice, depending on your monitor settings, this is a color here, 255. If you were to draw with this color, it looks white here. Well, I've mentioned in class, your monitors are deceiving. They will, they'll lie to you, and it's not that they're trying, or that it's in a way that sounds intentional. It's not the case. Monitors only have such good colors, such good resolution, so many colors associated to their quality. And then of course the settings that they're set up on, whether it's so many million colors, whatever it may be. So I don't want you to get stuck on thinking, this is especially if and when you ever print in color, don't don't trust per se the colors you see here or in your drawing area itself. It will be different than what you print out, especially depending on whether it's a inkjet printer or a laser color printer, color laser. The printers have their own settings, which may be better or less than the settings or the capabilities of your monitor. So a lot of times for other classes, I have students print this out, or actually not print it out, create this matrix of colors. If and when you ever get I apologize, I'm doing two things at once here. If and when you ever get access to a color printer, you may want to do just that. And just so that you can see what it is I'm referring to, color index, color palette, I will pull up that drawing. And basically I'll have students create this squares. You should see a definite array, a rectangular array of squares. We then hatch. This is on the drawing area. Here's your hatch right here. We have some text. That's a nice thing to array as well. You'd think you'd have 255 things of text you'd either have to type in or go in and edit. Well, that's reasonable to feel that way, but there are what's called express tools to help us number those in a sequential order. So it really doesn't take that long. I guess if anything, you do have to click in here 255 times to change the color and make sure which color it is, coming back up here to the more colors to select this one or that one. What you might notice now, instead of here, and you can keep hovering over this while I'm showing you this other file, you should be able to notice that up here on the top half, split into two halves, the top half, these colors are all even, where the bottom colors are all odd. We start over here on this left corner here on the bottom, and we go up by 2 to keep them even. 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Now instead of going something similar to that, we jump every 10, which obviously we get to the fifth one starting over here. From 18, we're at 20, 22, 24, 26, 30s, 40s, 50s, so on and so forth, all the way down to 240 up to 248. Likewise here, we have 11, 13, 15 down to 19, then we get at 21, 23, 25, 27, all the way down to 241 down to 249. Now, again, you're not making this, but at the same time, this kind of is a detailed layout for what you see here. And again, as you hover over these, you don't have to click on them. The number shows up right here below where it says index color. So there is color 10, 12, here is 20, down here is 11. So again, we have 1 through 9 here, which is also what shows up on that other color palette. Then we get to 10, 11, 12, 13, all the way down to, here is 249, there's 248, so 249, and then we get down to this grayscale, 250 through 255. So changing colors, this is often referred to as hard coloring. This is normally the way you're going to do it, is coming to this panel. You can simply select, let me go back to my template file. I can come here and select red. Now the next thing I'm going to draw will be red or any other color, and that's what I'm going to set in as long as this shows red. Ultimately, I'm going to show you or tell you, we're at 9 minutes, I'm going to tell you to not use this panel, but until then you're fine. Normally you're going to want this to be by layer, but this is going to be hard to mess with until we get into layers, which will be a few videos from now. If you select multiple items, again, you can come up here and change their color. Something that's a little easier on the eyes. So I believe that is enough for this video.